There comes a time in life when you realize that holding on too tightly to certain people is like grasping a rope that's cutting into your hands. You feel the sting, you see the marks, yet you keep holding on because you're afraid of what might happen if you let go. I once knew someone who kept chasing the approval of people who never truly cared for them, and every time they reached out, they were met with coldness, excuses, and silence. The more they tried to keep those relationships alive, the more drained they became. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to release the ones who keep showing you they don't belong in your life. It doesn't mean you hate them. It means you value yourself enough to stop begging for the bare minimum. Imagine your heart as a garden. If you keep watering weeds, the flowers will never bloom. The same is true for your soul. When you invest all your energy in people who pull you down, you rob yourself of the chance to grow. There is power in focusing on yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a way that honors the trust Allah has placed in you. Your time, your health, your emotions, these are blessings. And if someone is constantly taking from them without giving back, it's a sign to turn your attention inward. The more you nurture your own heart, the more you will notice it becoming lighter, freer, more content. Letting go can feel like stepping into the unknown, but sometimes that's where Allah writes your greatest chapters. The people you release are often replaced with opportunities, blessings, and connections far greater than you imagined. And one day you'll look back and realize that what felt like a painful ending was in fact a merciful redirection. So choose yourself. Choose peace over chaos, growth over stagnation, and dignity over desperation. Life is too short to keep knocking on closed doors when Allah is opening new ones right in front of you. Step forward, even if it's hard, and trust that what's ahead is better than what you're leaving behind. The silent weight of holding on to people who no longer value you is something that seeps into your life quietly, almost unnoticed at first, and yet over time it becomes heavy enough to slow your steps and dim your light. You may not even realize it's happening because it often disguises itself as loyalty, love, or patience. You tell yourself they're just busy, that they're going through something, that they'll come around eventually. And in that waiting, you keep giving more of yourself while receiving less and less in return. It starts with small things, unanswered messages, cancelled plans, conversations that once flowed freely now reduced to brief, distracted exchanges. At first you shrug it off. You believe the bond you share will carry you through, but with every unreciprocated effort, a subtle ache begins to grow inside you. It's like standing in the cold, holding the door open for someone who never walks through, and all the while the chill seeps into your bones. You replay the past in your mind, remembering moments when you laughed together, shared secrets, and made promises about always being there for each other. Those memories feel warm, but when you compare them to the present reality, the warmth is overshadowed by a cold truth. The person you once knew is no longer showing up in your life. And no matter how much you wish it were different, no matter how hard you try to bridge the gap, your efforts seem to vanish into thin air. You find yourself wondering if you did something wrong, if you're not enough, if somehow you failed to hold their interest or affection. The weight grows heavier not just from their absence, but from the doubts and self-blame that settle into your mind. It's a strange thing, this invisible burden. You carry it into your days like an unspoken secret. You smile and go about your responsibilities, but beneath the surface, there's a constant tug, the need to hold on, to fix things, to keep them close, even when their actions make it clear they've already drifted away. You tell yourself you can handle it, that it's just a rough patch, that maybe they're testing your patience. But deep down, a quiet voice whispers that you're pouring yourself into a vessel with cracks, and no matter how much you give, it will never be enough to fill it. You start to notice how this weight affects you in other ways. Your mood shifts more easily. You feel drained in conversations, even with people who genuinely care. You hesitate to share your joys because you've grown accustomed to their lack of interest. You withhold your struggles because you don't want to feel that sting of silence or dismissal. The burden you carry becomes a filter, dulling the colors of your world. It's as if you're walking through life holding onto a rope that's fraying in your hands, each strand snapping one by one, and yet you cling tighter, afraid of what will happen if you finally let go. The most challenging part is that you can't measure this weight the way you measure something physical. It's not about how many hours you've invested or how many favors you've done. It's about the emotional energy you've poured into a connection that's no longer alive on both ends. And because love, loyalty, and friendship are intangible, you keep hoping there's still something they're worth holding on to. You think of all the shared history, the inside jokes, the milestones you celebrated together, and you can't imagine your life without them in it. So you keep carrying this invisible load, unaware of how much it's slowing you down, unaware of how deeply it's shaping the way you see yourself and the way you move through the world, recognizing your worth. And the peace in letting go often begins as a quiet awakening, a slow realization that you are more than the way others treat you. It's the moment you look at yourself, perhaps after years of chasing approval, and you see someone who has been giving endlessly without truly being valued in return. You start to notice patterns, how your kindness is taken for granted, how your efforts are met with indifference, how your presence is assumed rather than appreciated. This recognition is not sudden. It's a gradual peeling back of layers, each one revealing the truth that your value is not determined by someone else's ability to see it. You begin to understand that worth is something given by Allah, something woven into you from the moment you were created, and no person's neglect or rejection has the power to erase it. It can feel uncomfortable at first, this new awareness. You might wrestle with guilt, telling yourself that walking away is selfish or unkind. You might replay moments where you could have done more, said more, been more. But slowly, you learn to silence those voices, because deep down you know that respect, love, and care should never have to be begged for. You begin to see the difference between relationships that build you up and ones that quietly erode your spirit. In that clarity, a new kind of peace begins to form, not the peace that comes from keeping everyone else happy, but the peace that comes from choosing yourself without apology. Letting go doesn't always look like a dramatic ending. Sometimes it's simply deciding to stop pouring into places that give nothing back. It's declining invitations that feel obligatory, not chasing after replies, not rearranging your life for someone who would never do the same for you. At first, the absence might feel strange, like a missing piece, but in time you realize it was never a piece of you, it was a weight you were carrying. There's a lightness that comes when you release what's been draining you. Your mind feels clearer, your heart feels calmer, and you find yourself with the energy to invest in things that truly matter. Recognizing your worth also changes the way you allow others to treat you. You set boundaries not as walls to shut people out, but as gates that protect the garden of your heart. You understand that not everyone deserves access to your time, your energy, your trust. You become more discerning, no longer impressed by grand words, but by consistent action. You no longer measure your value by how much you can endure, but by how well you can protect your own well-being. This shift is powerful because it means you are no longer living at the mercy of someone else's opinion or attention. The peace that comes with letting go is unlike any other. It's not loud or showy, it's quiet, steady, and deeply grounding. It's waking up without the heaviness of wondering whether you've done enough to keep someone close. It's the relief of no longer walking on eggshells, no longer shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's comfort. It's the freedom of knowing that your happiness is no longer tied to their presence. And in that freedom, you begin to see opportunities and blessings that you were too weighed down to notice before. You find space for new connections, for hobbies you neglected, for moments of solitude that feel nourishing instead of lonely. You start to appreciate the beauty of your own company, the sound of your own thoughts, and the strength you carry inside you, redirecting energy inward to self. Growth and healing is a choice that often comes after a long period of feeling stretched thin, of giving so much of yourself that there's barely anything left for you. It's when you realize that the same dedication, patience, and care you've been offering others can be turned inward to nurture your own mind, heart, and soul. At first, it might feel unnatural, even selfish, because you've grown accustomed to putting everyone else's needs before your own. But slowly, you begin to see that taking care of yourself is not neglecting others, it's replenishing your well, so you can give from a place of abundance rather than exhaustion. Self-growth begins with awareness. You start paying attention to the habits that drain you and the ones that uplift you. You notice the voices you allow into your life, both from others and from within your own mind. You begin to challenge the negative self-talk that has been quietly dictating your choices, replacing it with affirmations rooted in truth and faith. You might pick up a book that inspires you, attend a class that excites you, or take up a hobby that once brought you joy. Little by little, you reclaim parts of yourself that had been neglected while you were busy trying to keep others happy. Healing, on the other hand, is not a straight path. Some days you feel light, motivated, ready to take on the world, and other days the weight of old wounds pulls you back down. You learn to be patient with yourself, to treat your own heart the way you would treat a dear friend who is hurting. You stop demanding that you get over it quickly and instead allow yourself the time to process, to rest, to feel without judgment. You begin to understand that healing is not about erasing the past, but about finding a way to live fully in the present without letting the past control you. Redirecting your energy inward also means being intentional with your time. You start choosing activities that align with your values and bring you closer to the person you want to become. You might spend more time in prayer, deepening your relationship with Allah, or you might invest in your physical health through better eating and movement. You might explore creative outlets that allow you to express yourself freely. With each small step, you're building a life that feels more aligned, more authentic, more yours. As you focus on your own growth, you also begin to see the ripple effect it has on your environment. You become more grounded, more confident in your decisions, and less reactive to negativity. The drama that once consumed you no longer has the same pull because you're too busy building something meaningful. You find joy in progress, no matter how small, and that joy fuels you to keep going. Even your relationships start to shift. The people who truly value you are drawn closer, while those who once drained you naturally drift away. In this process, you also learn to celebrate yourself, not in a boastful way, but in quiet acknowledgement of how far you've come. You take moments to reflect on the strength it took to choose yourself, to walk away from what wasn't serving you, and to pour into your own life. You start to see yourself as worthy, not just of survival, but of thriving. You realize that the most powerful thing you can do is to build a life that you don't need to escape from, one where your peace is protected and your heart is nurtured. A life that grows more beautiful the more you invest in it. The freedom and blessings that come when you trust Allah's plan are unlike anything that can be found in clinging to your own limited understanding. There's a deep relief in realizing that you are not required to control every detail, fix every situation, or hold onto every person. When you truly trust that Allah sees what you cannot see, knows what you do not know, and loves you more than you could ever comprehend, the weight you've been carrying begins to lift. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" with despair and start asking it with curiosity, with the belief that even in this moment, something good is being written for you. It's the shift from feeling like life is happening against you to understanding that life is unfolding for you, even if the road feels rough and unclear. This trust doesn't come overnight. Often it's forged in moments of deep disappointment, when what you wanted so badly slips away despite your prayers and efforts. At first, it can feel like loss, like unanswered prayers, like silence from above. But with time and reflection, you begin to notice patterns, times when you were denied something only to be given something far better, times when a delay ended up being the very thing that protected you from harm, times when what felt like an ending was actually a door to a new and better chapter. The more you recognize these moments, the more your heart learns to lean on that divine wisdom instead of resisting it. There is freedom in no longer needing everyone's approval or validation, because you know that if Allah is pleased with you, then nothing else matters. You stop exhausting yourself trying to keep relationships alive that are meant to fade. Stop chasing opportunities that aren't meant for you. Stop worrying about what others think when you follow your path. This isn't a careless detachment, but a peaceful surrender, a way of living that keeps you moving forward without fear of losing what was never truly yours. Blessings start to become clearer when you trust Allah's plan, because you stop measuring them only by what you can see and touch. You begin to see blessings in the small moments, in the way your heart softens during prayer, in the unexpected help that arrives just when you need it, in the people who show up in your life and bring genuine goodness with them. You realize that sometimes the greatest blessings are not in what is given, but in what is taken away. The harmful friendships that dissolve, the jobs you didn't get, the plans that didn't work out, all of them make space for something better, even if you don't see it yet. Trusting Allah also allows you to live more fully in the present. You no longer spend as much time worrying about the future or reliving the past, because you know that both are in His hands. You learn to wake up each day with gratitude for what is, instead of constant anxiety for what might be. This doesn't mean life becomes easy, but it means your heart becomes steady, unshaken by every change in circumstance. You start to greet challenges with patience, opportunities with humility, and blessings with thankfulness. In that trust, you find a type of freedom that feels like breathing after holding your breath for too long. You stop gripping so tightly to what you think you need and instead open your hands, ready to receive whatever He chooses to place there. And with open hands comes an open heart, one that is more resilient, more grateful, and more attuned to the countless blessings that were always around you, but are now finally visible because you have let go of the need to control the story, a heartfelt call to embrace your journey with strength. And dignity begins with understanding that life will never be a perfectly smooth path. There will be detours, closed doors, and unexpected turns. But each of these is part of the story that shapes you into who you are meant to become. Strength is not about pretending you are unaffected by pain or loss. It's about allowing yourself to feel, to process, and yet to keep moving forward with faith. It's about refusing to let hardship make you bitter, choosing instead to let it make you wiser. Every test you face is an opportunity to rise above it, to prove to yourself that you are capable of enduring more than you imagined, and to prove to your Creator that you will hold firmly to Him even when the ground beneath you shakes. Dignity comes from knowing your value and refusing to compromise it for the sake of temporary comfort or approval. It's choosing silence over arguments that lead nowhere, walking away from people who belittle you, and standing firm in your principles even when it costs you something. It's not about arrogance or pride, but about self-respect, the kind that says, I know who I am and I will not allow anyone to treat me as less. You begin to realize that your journey is yours alone, and you are not in competition with anyone else. The pace at which you move, the milestones you reach, and the lessons you learn are all uniquely tailored for you, and there is no need to compare your path to someone else's. Embracing your journey also means accepting the moments when you have to walk alone. There will be seasons when support feels scarce, when the people you expected to be there quietly fade into the background. In those moments, you learn the importance of relying on Allah and drawing strength from your faith. You begin to see solitude not as a punishment, but as a time for reflection, self-discovery, and connection with the one who never leaves you. You realize that some parts of the path are meant to be walked in quiet resilience, without the noise of others' opinions or the distractions of their expectations. When you choose to walk your journey with strength and dignity, you inspire others without even realizing it. People notice the way you hold yourself together in difficult times, the way you keep your heart soft when life tries to harden it, the way you stay true to your values when compromise would be easier. They may never tell you, but your example becomes a silent encouragement for them to face their own challenges with courage. You become a living reminder that it is possible to navigate this life without losing yourself in the process. Part of embracing your journey is also showing gratitude for where you are now, even if it's not where you ultimately want to be. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's present, from what's gone wrong to what's still right. It allows you to see beauty in the ordinary, the small victories, the quiet mornings, the fleeting moments of joy. These little things become fuel for your resilience, proof that even in seasons of struggle, life still holds pockets of light. With each step you take, you learn to trust the timing of your journey. You stop rushing to reach the next destination and instead focus on making the most of where you are. You understand that growth takes time, healing takes patience, and wisdom takes experience. You carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that every moment, every encounter, every challenge is shaping them into a stronger, more grounded version of themselves, and that nothing in this journey is wasted.